Hello, welcome to another video with me, Emma. I am doing a video about Mars retrograde today, and hence the red sweater and a little red lipstick just to honor this forceful and fiery planet. I'm also wearing my Mars ring, iron ring here, which is iron is very connected to Mars. If you want to work with it, that is a good way to, connect to the energy. If you don't want to wear crystals, that is. So I'm starting the video again from the beginning. You're going to notice that in a while I'm going to shift the camera, because turns out that I was so impulsive, so quick, that I started the video without the mic. So that's Mars for you, because today it goes retrograde. I'm going to cut to using what I'm saying about the different rising signs. This is a video where I talk first about Mars as, what it means, what it rules, the retrograde energy, and then I'm going to go into all the 12 zodiacs. And then I'm going to finish off with a card for this period. So I'm going to put timestamps and things in the description area, and then also timestamp for the reading. So you can jump ahead when you feel ready for your rising sign. And I want to start with saying that I work with the Vedic astrology, so the sidereal astrology, not the tropical Western, which is what many people use, but the Vedic astrology follows how the planets actually move in the sky, so it's more accurate when it comes to what is actually influencing our energy. So yes, I hope you will enjoy this, and here we go. So Mars is a planet which I feel sometimes is misunderstood, because it's often talked about as only the violent and angry planet which rules fire, but it rules many other things as well. It rules blood, or the iron in the blood making the blood red. So red is very Mars, right? It rules muscles, it rules your physical boundary, it rules boundaries generally. So the archetype of Mars is this holy warrior, the protector being. So that is also what we're trying to understand with Mars's energy. How do we protect ourselves? Where do we put boundaries? Where do we need to have boundaries? Which is what you'll find in your chart. Every chart is different. And that's also why I like to go through the zodiacs, because how you experience this retrograde is going to be different depending on your rising sign. I will put a chart calculator also in the description, so you can find your Vedic chart, because you cannot use your Western rising. All right, so Mars, when a planet goes retrograde, it intensifies. It looks to us from Earth as if it moves backward in the sky, but it doesn't. It's still in its own elliptical orbit, but it's intensified because it kind of goes closer to the Earth in a weird way. I read that somewhere recently, that what's actually happening is the planet going retrograde is coming closer to us in its orbit, and that's why it looks like that in the sky. Which I thought was intriguing, because that kind of explains why retrogrades feels so much more strong, and why we feel so affected by them, right? Because the planet actually physically comes closer to us and affects our energy system in a stronger way. The chart that we look at is a description of your energy field, and where the planets are placed is where they are placed in your aura, and which area of your energy field that they prod and pull and inflict and affect, right? So Mars, being this holy warrior, this boundary, this one who protects, who has a calling to protect our emotional space. The Mars is there, Mars is there to protect your moon. Mars is there to protect your emotional space. So depending on where it is and how it's placed with the moon, this is more or less difficult. But that's what it's there for. That's what we're here to learn. It also rules ambition. It also rules power. It rules fire, sensuality, passion. So it's like a volcano. It's like a beautiful, it could be either thing, depending on how much you've integrated with it. It could be a smoldering fire, it could be a burning furnace, it could be a volcanic eruption, it could be this very balanced flame of light that just kind of supports your change. It also connects to techniques, engineering, and how to make things work, how to understand things. So Mars, when it comes into play, it's a great helper when it comes to understanding how to get somewhere, which techniques to use, and being skillful at something, having the energy to become skillful. So that's its gift, among other things. I mean, many things are its gift, right? So if you, for instance, were to have Mars in the 5th house in your natal chart, you would have an innate skill when it comes to arts and crafts and creation, and things you make happen, and hobbies, and any sports, very skillful in sports, and would need sports as well to get all the energy out. So that's one thing. If you would have Mars in your, what should we take? If you have Mars in your 9th house, that could mean that you would benefit from having a technique when it comes to your spiritual practice. That's how you can look at it when it comes to technique. So Mars has many different areas that it kind of affects and influences. And that's why when it goes retrograde, it could either be, it's also very impulsive, I will say. I mean, it could either be a time for you to look where, because Mars, okay, I'm an Aries ascendant. Mars is ruling in my 1st house. So if I seem a bit, it's because I'm feeling this energy quite strongly. You can see here, my physical self is feeling this Mars retrograde quite strongly because my body's breaking out a bit. So that's, how it can also be expressed. When a planet goes retrograde, if it's intensified, means that Mars being quite impulsive and could be aggressive, and also deals with conflicts and wars on a global way and a more world way. It could be a time where things might be more intensified, volatile, more angry. So something to be aware of. Within your own life, that can happen too. And I think one of the more general advices I would give is to be mindful of stress, be mindful of moving too fast, of not being, of like taking steps without thinking them through, of like there will be anger flares regardless of where you have your Mars, and being mindful of this is important. Because you could easily follow this impulsive, like very quick energy, and without thinking things through. Especially since Mars is at the moment in Gemini, it's interesting because when I looked at this transit that it has, because it's been in Taurus since August until mid-October, and then it went into Gemini where it is now, and it's turning today and going back until mid-November and back into Taurus, where it will stay until 13th of March. So the retrograde lasts from today, 30th of October, until the 12th of January 2023, and then it will move forward until 13th of March. So that means that essentially Mars has been, or will be in Taurus from middle of August until the middle of March, which is a long time, except for this month in the middle here. But that's a long time, and that's quite rare, I feel. I don't know if it is, but Mars, it still felt quite significant to me enough that I wanted to do a video about it. So Taurus deals with material things. Taurus deals with beauty, deals with artistic expression, but also deals with our maternal side, our family, our sense of home, our sense of security. So I feel like Mars moving through here, it also deals with nurturing your ideas and making them coming true, making your inspired ideas come into the world. So Mars very much moving through this house and going back to this sign again is you know, a gift of sorts when it comes to how do I get my dream to become real? How do I take this seed that I've planted from my ideas that I received in Aries probably, and then into the earth of Taurus, where it will grow and sprout and become something real. Things become real in Taurus. In Aries, there are floating ideas above your head, and there's a lot of, you know, inspiration going on, and it's hard to make things happen. But in Taurus, there's this energy of earth, of making things, you know, taking some idea, ingredients, values, things that are ethereal and maybe abstract, and making them into an actual thing. And that is what Mars is going to help you with in different ways. And I feel like this retrograde, where it goes back, is because we still have things we need to understand about how to make things, how to make this happen. So that's why I felt very important to go through this and to look at the different houses and to also get this out there. And I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope that the sound isn't too bad. It's only for the first half of the risings, because at about Cancer, I think, or around there, I remember I don't have this. So I'm gonna change it. So it's just a few of these first signs that don't have the mic. So sorry about that, but yeah. I think I've said all I needed to say for the start, and thank you for listening so far, and enjoy the rest of the video, and I will, here are the rising signs. Aries. So if your ascendant is Aries, that means that your Mars has been in the second house, gone into Gemini, your third house, and then will retreat back into your second house again. So it's second, third, second. Second house rules family, it rules values, money, and food. It rules childhood as well. So for me, I'm an Aries rising, so this is how it is for me. But generally, I would say that there might be, it could be an indication that resentment from your childhood is coming up, anger from your childhood, your inner child could be feeling boundaries needs to be placed in your life. Could be things rising from, you know, the past. Second house is also like it's an opposite mirror to the 8th house, which is where you have your trauma buried, and Mars is kind of, it could pull it out for you to be made aware of it. Could also be a time to be aware of impulsive actions with money. Because when it's retrograde, Mars going in retrograde, it heightens it, so it makes it stronger. It makes it more volatile because it has all these meanings, it has all these, you know, violent, impulsive, rash thinking. And if you're an Aries ascendant, you have this already because Mars rules your first house. So it will be something that you feel quite close to as your personal self and your self-image. So you could also have this sort of half revolution when it comes to how you see things, how you think about things, because values are here as well. So I feel like maintain your impulsive side, beware of your impulsive side, think twice, think thrice actually about doing things that I have to do this, I have to buy this, I have to like that. And also, you know, conflicts in the family area, so be a bit aware of this. So that's Aries. I also feel like there's a lot of opportunity to grow within yourself when it comes to how you deal with your own, you know, creating structures for maintaining your own home, family. Yeah. All right. So if you have a Taurus ascendant, this means that it will happen in your first house, second house, and then first house again. So Mars will have been August until October in your first house, into your second, and then back into your first. So this has to do with your self-image. It has to do with your physical self. Mars is also a ruler for inflammation and stress. So if it's in retrograde, it's stronger. So be a bit careful of stress. This will also be applicant for Sagittarius rising. Yes, because that will be the 6th house for health. But for you, it feels like there's part of it that is like high energy flow. You will have access to more energy in your physical self, more fire. You can feel a bit more energy coursing through and be quicker about yourself. Everything is a bit more fast. You want to move quicker. You could be also more prone to anger and outbursts in a way. But I feel like be aware of your need for rest. Be aware of not moving too quickly with your own body, because Mars rules muscles, and so there's a bit of an accident risk, or you know, going too fast if you're going to the gym, or if you're doing yoga, or if you're going for a run or whatever. There is, you know, a risk for tearing something or doing a bit too much because you have this very high energy, you know, and not really feeling into your own boundaries. There is also this, the boundary is also important in this, because you have, I feel like there's, you know, my own sense of self, my own boundary between my person and this person. So learning about who I am and what I want to and what I need to do, it's like this, my own warrior, embodying this holy warrior and how I need protection. So Mars is a very good protector. And quite a strong gatekeeper to have in the 1st house. So I feel like having it a second time around is going to help you to integrate this energy if you need it. Iron, I'm having my iron ring on here to connect with Mars. Iron is Mars energy. So if you have iron jewelry or something, and you want to work with Mars, wear it, but also be careful, because it also will heighten Mars energy in yourself. So yes, is there anything else about Taurus? I feel like there could be quite a strong, it's like riding a wave of energy forward. It's a positive opportunity to make things you've tried to get off your chest, to kind of move forward with something, and this is an opportunity to do it. Gemini. So Gemini is a different story, because you will have had Mars now in your 1st house, just as a little visit, and then we'll go back to your 12th house, where it was in August to October, and will be until March. So 12th house rules loss, death, but also is a house where things are hidden away, where things are a bit invisible and less easy to grasp. And when Mars is there, it means that this sense of protectiveness and this sense of power and our boundaries are kind of tucked away behind the back. And so you're a bit, it's like being a bit more vulnerable, and you could feel a sense of loss of power, I would say. Loss of anger. Could also be that there is a call to look upon your loss, and if you have had, I mean, okay, tuning into whether there's a need to feel loss and connect to the anger of this loss. If you've had a loss in your family, or if you had a loss of power, and how has that made you feel? The grief of losing my own boundaries. What has that done for me? Also, I mean, if we're looking at it that way, because 12th house deals with spirituality in a way, in connection to your higher self. So there could also be, you know, going deeper into meditation, the meditation technique, and exploring that in a way. So that's something that could be interesting. And then you're like this, it's moving from having, you know, you are going to have Mars come into your 1st house. You have it now from mid-October to mid-November, and then again in mid-March. And then you will have this power coming back. So I feel like there's this introspection, and then I'm blossoming out. So I feel like expression is going to come out soon. But there is a call to move within, but also awareness of feeling like I have no energy, or like I don't have the motivation to move forward, and I don't have, you know, I've lost you know, my masculinity or my masculine divine energy or whatever. And that, you know, moving in towards meditation, moving in towards your own loss could be a way of connecting to that energy again and exploring techniques for meditation. Could also be connection to past lives, because 12th house deals with past lives and the warlike energy that we are now experiencing popping up on Earth here and there, and has been for the last 2 years, could also be, you know, I feel like going back to a past remembrance. You might have dreams, you might have intuitive communication about these past memories that could be triggering, and could be, you know, grief coming up from that also to be dealt with. So that's also coming up. If you're Cancer ascendant, you have Mars in the 11th house and has moved into the 12th and then moved back to the 11th. 11th house deals with dreams, groups, friendships, hobbies, side hustles, things like this. So Mars in the 11th kind of means that you have, I just realized I don't have my mic on, so I really hope that the sound is okay. Oh my god, I have it here. Isn't this annoying? Oh, well. Anyway, I might actually, I just was at Cancer, so I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna restart. Okay. So Cancer, we were just given now a perfect example for me about my impulsive, the issues of impulse and Aries rising and Mars, because I just started this video very excited without the mic on. So the sound is gonna probably be a bit off before this. I'm hoping that you have patience with that. Cancer, 11th house to 12th house to 11th house. 11th house deals with friendships, groups, energies surrounding hobbies, side hustles, and your gift into the world. So you could have issues with friends, conflicts with friends, boundaries with friends. Either your friends are expressing more boundaries, or you feel a need to express more boundaries. And then moving into your 12th house is this calling to move within, or a sense of, you know, could be loss coming up from past lives, loss of anger, dealing with how to relate to, let me think, either memories from past lives and how it relates to, could be warlike memories, or memories from your childhood coming up to be dealt with, but how that feels as a loss of power. Could also be feeling a call to go within, and the technique to meditate, how to meditate in a more full way. So, okay. And then the 11th house, friendships. I feel like there could be more energy as well, more exuberance, more, you know, ambition, more interest in friendships. That is something that could come up. I apologize for the light. It's the sun coming out, which is messing with the lightning in here. So I'm hoping that's gonna be okay. And I feel like there is some kind of also insecurity coming up about my friendships and how I deal with my friendships and how I feel. I feel like there might be, you know, communication issues with Cancer. And I feel like I might need more protection, like I need more, a bit of distance for this time between me and my friends. Also in group settings, I feel like there's a, you know, either a sense of feeling like I need to express myself more clearly, I need to express boundaries, but could also be an energetic shift of feeling like more energy is coming out and I feel more excited about being close to other people. Yes. So Leos, we have 10th house, 11th house, 10th house. So we have then work and the career being a focal point. So that is the main thing, because Taurus is your house for career. So techniques, ambition, and Mars does very well in the house of career, does very well in the house of business and work, and how to kind of be taking steps to move forward. How do I move forward? What do I want to happen? What do I want to do? Where are my boundaries? How do I structure myself? And I feel like I really, really want to move forward. And I have a lot of ambition and a lot of drive. So this is a really good time. It's a really expansive time for you. When it goes into the 11th house, where it's now, in Gemini, there will be a lot of energy connected to friendships, groups, meeting new people that could connect you. And I feel quite exuberant. So Leos are having quite an exuberant time with Mars, I feel. Career, going back to career, in retrograde could be also there's more of a boundary coming into this when there's the retrograde phase, so which is until 12th of January, because we have this strengthening of Mars becoming stronger, and that is, you know, having, how to phrase this, of work becoming too much, of, you know, reminding yourself to rest, to not do too much, to not be too much, to not rush ahead, to not take impulsive decisions, to not be too anxious to get ahead, and really focus on the details and reminding yourself of the details, and to pace yourself so you don't burn yourself out, and so you don't rush ahead with things. That's an important thing. Okay, so I moved the camera a bit. Try and see if this is a bit better lighting. Yeah. So, okay then. Yes, so where was I? I was at Virgo. Virgo is the next one. So my Virgos, this is going to happen in your 9th house, 10th house, 9th house. So you will have had 9th house as a focal point for Mars, which is your father, biological father, spirituality, higher learning, studies, and that kind of thing, spirituality. So what that tells me is that partly there's a deepening in connection to your spiritual practice. So going into practice in a more ambitious way, or more, you know, really wanting to set a technique to use this in a way. And I feel more ambitious. I feel more called to do this in a more, you know, ambitious way, or I feel motivated to really go in within myself. Also motivated to learn, to be more, studies comes up, reading books comes up, looking at YouTube's, maybe taking a class, learning things and following your guidance in that regard. It does not have to be about spiritual studies. It can be any kind of academic studies. 9th house is higher learning, as in university, or spiritual. It could be interpreted in any way. But I feel like I want to go deeper into my learning phase, right? So that is a strong thing. Could also be that your father and you are having, either there's something coming up connected to the father, or your masculine side in a way, either it's conflict or it's conflict resolution, because retrograde is strengthening things. So I feel like there could be a connecting point with your father, where be a bit aware of what's happening there, because it could be that there are issues that are coming up that needs to be resolved, or there is boundaries that needs to be placed for you in regards to that. And I mean, it could also be authoritative figures, so it doesn't have to be your biological father. It could be your an authority figure. Sorry, I hope this is okay, this mic thing. Yeah, so that's the Virgo. 10th house is career, so that's where you're heading. So at the moment it's in the 10th house, and then moving back to the 9th. So I feel like there's also, you know, if it's connected to this higher learning course, going into studies for something, there's also something then connected to what you're supposed to do, what you want to express into the world. So there's a connection to the 10th house, as in my career. What am I doing? What am I, what's my voice into this place that I'm in? So there's an interesting connection there. And I feel like working with Mars as, what's the word, dedicating yourself to learning is a positive thing at the moment. But also be aware of being too impulsive and rash, and being, boundaries is important. Being a bit careful as well is important with yourself in a spiritual sense, not pushing too hard, not like going too deep before you're ready. So that also comes up. Libra has 8th house, 9th house and 8th house. So you have Mars in 8th house, kind of does well in the 8th house, because in the original chart it rules the 8th house, which is Scorpio. But for you it's Taurus. So Mars in the 8th means that I have this warrior-like protective energy when it comes to my own trauma. There's also, going deep, digging into my own depths to understand something. I want to go very deep and face death, which is what Mars does. It's this warrior standing in the face of death and saying, well, what? And so there's this kind of, going into battle for yourself, or really, really connecting to this spirit of healing, spirit of warrior, spirit of protectiveness. Could also be that there are memories, issues, feelings of however power and dominance has taken place in your life. How has that been there for you, and how has that been played out for you in your childhood? Has there been an abuse of power? Has there been an abuse of power over you, or have you abused your power? So there's a lot of, because 8th house also deals with all the shadows, all the dark parts of ourselves that we don't want to see. So I feel like anger is rising. Anger is rising within you, and it needs to be heard, and it needs to be felt more than anything. So when retrograde comes today, it might be that it is, exponentially heightened for you to be feeling it. So I feel like tantrums could be a risk. And it's a good thing that they come out. Boxing a pillow or screaming into a pillow, or having some sort of outlet would be a good thing. Martial arts is also connected to Mars. So if you feel like you need an outlet, find a physical outlet to burn off your anger, but also express it. Do not push it away. Do not hide it under the rug again, because it needs to be felt. This is also like boundaries, expressing healthy boundaries that we may not have had the opportunity to when we were kids, or we weren't heard when we expressed boundaries when we were kids. 9th house is also then the next step for you. So that is going into a more spiritual sense, or connecting to the Father. This is where it is now, and then we'll be in March again. So the Father is connected to the 9th house. Spirituality is connected to the 9th house, meaning the Divine Father, higher learning. So I feel like going within yourself now is an important foundation for your movement forward when it comes to connecting and going deeper into your own journey, however that looks for you. Scorpio, this is connected to your 7th house. So we have 7th house, August to October, and then 9th house at the moment, and then back to the 8th house. Sorry, now I've spoken for a long time, bit much in the head. 7th house, 8th house, and then 7th house again. So we have the 7th house deals with marriage, deals with partnerships, deals with relationships. Could be any kind. Business relationships could be also romantic relationships, obviously, could be very, very close friendships, could be anyone you relate to or that you have a contract with. So in that sense is why there is connection between marriage and business partners, because you have contracts, you're bound together. That's the kind of energy of the 7th house. Relationships that mean something. When Mars is here, there is passion, there is fire, there is a lot of energy exploding, and there's a lot of energy to be expressed, and it could be amazing. I mean, yes, it's very fiery, sensual, you know, passionate time. It could also be quite a lot of conflict, could be a lot of, you know, so it's kind of like, and it could be both. It could be, we all know this, going back and forth with emotion and fire and anger, and then, you know, so heated energy. And it's, you know, I feel like for you it's an energy of getting to know your boundaries, getting to know your boundaries with yourself, breathing to 10 before you take up something, before you turn a conflict, like a hen out of a feather, or a mountain out of a mole, or whatever you say in English, I don't know. But you don't have to make things super big, but if you do need to express something, do. But I feel like a call to breathe, center before you run with your emotions, and when it comes to partnerships specifically, because there could be a lot of heated energy, and volcanic eruption in a good way and in a not so good way. So it's like, depending on if you are in a relationship, it could be that your relationship is either very intensified, or it could be that you are meeting somebody, or that you're very, you know, would like to meet somebody, and you know, that's not bad. It goes into the 8th house and is in the 8th house now for half a month, and then in March as well goes back to the 8th house, Gemini, for you. So that means going deeper into your own self, understanding your own patterns a bit more. Could also be that Mars is a bit hidden away from you. And Scorpio is a sign, Scorpio rising, you have this shadow, you know, dance with shadow in your own personality and self-image, and your physical self is quite connected to that part, because Scorpio is originally the 8th house. So I feel like it's not going to be something very strange for you to go into that. Actually might feel quite empowered, because 8th house is also very occult and very, how do you say, spiritually inclined, but in a different way from the 9th house. So yes, that's Scorpio. All right, so we have Sagittarius, and Sagittarius are, Mars is in your, will be in your 6th house. It was in your 6th house for healing and health, and then now it's in the 7th, and then back to 6th house. So there's a lot of focus on health, boundaries in health, balancing health, being aware of your boundaries, not overdoing, not being overly stressed. And there's a risk of really, really burning out yourself, because if you're not listening to your boundaries, it could be that you need more time for rest, because Mars is really, really agitating your nervous system. Important thing to know. Could be that you have that you feel more stressed, or that stress is more, you're more sensitive to stress now, because Mars is stress, Mars is inflammation, Mars is dealing with muscles, Mars is dealing with the blood. So you could have, I mean, I would say be careful with yourself at this time, be careful with your physical self. I mean, you could either have, it's a good thing to work out, could be a good thing to get energy out of your system so you don't burn too much. Could also be a call to be careful about how you deal with your physical self. So, you know, tune into your own body here, I would say, because everybody's different, but generally be aware of stress. Be very, very mindful of stress, because you could very well create damage in your structures physically, in your physical structures, meaning that you could have physical symptoms of stress quite a lot quicker than you would otherwise. So yeah, be careful with stress. Be very restful. As it moves into your 7th house, where it is now, and then we'll move back to that in, what's the word? March. There will be more energy in your 7th house when it comes to passion, sensuality, but also conflicts, conflict resolution, hopefully, boundaries in relationships, how you relate to other people, how you need to express yourself with other people. I feel like there's this back and forth, and there's a lot of quick energy because the 7th house for you is Gemini. So a lot of communication, a lot of expression, and a lot of like this here. It's a quick energy. Mars in Gemini is very quick, and it could be very impulsive. So I feel like pace yourself and be a bit careful when that happens. It is there now, and it will be retrograding in Gemini until mid-November. So this is also a time to be careful with how you deal with communication in your relationship, how you deal with conflict in your relationship. Think about what you say before you just blurt it out, because you could, not that you shouldn't express, but just because it could be that you aren't really tuning into your truth, because Mars is kind of pushing you on. Capricorn, then we have the 5th house, 5th house, 6th house, 5th house. So you have Mars in the 5th house, where it has been for August to October, and at the moment it's in the 6th house for health, where it will be retrograding now into mid-November, and then back into the 5th house. 5th house deals with children, everything I create, every project I birth, which is interesting. So very fiery children. So if you have kids, I would say that they might have more outbursts of anger. They would have had that between August and October, and they will again. Maybe expressing boundaries might be something important, both for you but for your children. And they might be very, agitated or stressed. They could also be very playful. Mars is a playful planet. It's also, a lot of hobbies and physical things, being out and about and playing, and it's sports and things like this. So it could be a very playful time. It could be a very expansive time, and a time to listen to and honor the boundaries of you and your kids. Maybe talk about it a bit more. For you, it could also be an inspirational journey with your creativity, expressing creatively at this time. There's a call to be mindful of health, because at the moment it is in your 6th house for health. So stress and inflammation and things like this will be, at the forefront now, and be heightened when it retrogrades today and moves back into the 5th house. So be aware of your physical self, be aware of how you stress. Do not stress. Try to find ways to let off the steam that you feel building if you feel it. Be careful with stress in your life now, because when Mars is stressing out the physical system, you could faster get physical symptoms, meaning heartburn or rashes like you see here. I can feel Mars in my physical self right now because I have these, outbursts of rashes. So that's one symptom, could be that it's overheatedness and inflammation. So be careful with yourself at the moment as it turns today, which will make it stronger. And then also mid-March, when it will go back into your 6th house again. Aquarius, we have 4th house, 5th house, and 4th house again. So you had 4th house August to October, and then we have 5th house for 1 month, mid-October to mid-November. So at the moment 5th house, and then back into the 4th house. So for Aquarians, there's a lot of emotional stuff going on. There's a lot of emotional boundaries. It could be a lot of things going on around your home. Could also be connected to your mother. Could be boundaries. Could be expressions with your mother. Because the 4th house deals with mother. Your mother biologically, your home, your sense of happiness in yourself. So I would say that emotionally speaking, there would be a feeling, I mean, it could be that you're connecting to your anger, could be that you're connecting to your boundaries, so that you're connecting to expressing boundaries to your mother or things of this nature. I also feel like I might have a burst of energy when it comes to my home, when it comes to how I want to have my home, either changing it around, remodeling or cleaning it out, or, you know, following my inspiration when it comes to that. So I feel like that's a good thing for you to kind of have a clear out within your home, which is also going to affect your inner home. Could also be a clearing out of your inner self. When it is in the 5th house, which is right now, so there's a lot of creativity going on. There's a lot of expression going on. There's a lot of inspiration, hobbies. I want to try everything new. I could evolve or you know, try a new technique with something, new painting, or if I try crocheting, or if I try, you know, learning to ride roller skates or whatever, you know, it's, you know, it's like I want to really try to expand my horizons, to find something new to do. Could also be that if you have children, there could be a lot of expression with you and your children when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to anger, when it comes to expression of, you know, here. So it could be heated energy with the kids, if you have kids or if you're encountering kids. So yes, emotions are the main thing, I would say, when it turns back. Because you have this in the 5th house, and then it's going to go back into the 4th house for mid-November until January, and until actually, of course, March. So it's going to have a long period of going back and really revisiting the emotional foundation that started to work mid-August. So that's for Aquarians. Pisces, to finish this off then. Lovely Pisces. This will be, you will have had Mars in your 3rd house in August to October, and then now in your 4th house for emotional space, and then back into your 3rd house. 3rd house is a lot of expression, how you express your truth, what your role is in your world. Siblings could also come up, extended family, aunts and uncles and things like this. But so 3rd house is a lot of expression, communicating, in writing, in painting, photography, art, and that kind of thing, theater, all that stuff. So, but also siblings. So there could be that there are relationship things with your siblings coming up, or, you know, how do I feel connected to my expression? How do I express myself in my society, in my community, my role in my space? Who am I here? And finding new ways of you know, expressing this is what Mars is trying to help you with, I feel. Making your ideas come to fruition when it comes to, I see both websites, I see writing, mainly writing is coming up. So it could be either be a blog, or it could be Instagram, it could be somewhere to kind of get your message out, practice writing what you feel. When it comes into the 4th house, where it is right now, there's a lot of emotional things coming up. Emotional boundaries could be connection to the mother, your mother, what she's meant to you, but also how you relate to her. If there are, you know, there could be conflicts connected to your mother in regards to being freeing yourself, like cutting the umbilical cord finally. That's coming up. Yes, so yeah. And then going back to the 3rd house. So we're having 3rd house from mid-November until mid-March. So quite a long time where you are being guided and, you know, to search within, and then connect without to how you are, you know, expressing yourself in the world. Could be that your relationship with your siblings could be either strained, or conflicts from the past might be coming up. yeah. Or, you know, Mars is also quite playful. So, I mean, it could be a positive spin on the whole thing. It could be that you connect to your siblings, but because it has a kind of violent and slightly conflicting energy, I would say that there is a need for boundaries maybe to one of the siblings that you have, to kind of feel into who you are. Because Pisceans are very sensitive beings, so I might feel like I might want to individualize myself. Who am I? What am I here to say? And not, you know, adapt myself to my surroundings. So that's kind of coming up as well. So yes, that was all the 12 zodiacs. Wow, thank you for watching this far. I'm gonna listen back. I hope the sound isn't too bad at the beginning of the video. I'm hoping not. I'm gonna do a card reading now for this period. And of course, it's going to be very different for each one of you because, well, all the different houses have very different aspects and meanings. But let's see what the cards have to say. Let's see. All right, well. Ecstasy comes up. That's very Martian energy. So there's this dance with your own shadow definitely going on. And transformation is very strong as well. So I feel like a lot of upward energy. So it's a positive aspect, I would say. Even if, I mean, the retrograde energy is challenging because it's so much stronger and it's less this, you know, being very aware of Mars and maintaining and kind of trying to balance and understand what it's trying to say. So it's a challenge in a way, but it's also very expansive and very, you know, entertaining and very joyful and could be quite a leap forward for you. I feel like, look at her. She's really leaping forward. She's really taking steps towards her dream, towards her ecstasy. So I feel like there's a lot of forward motion that is being founded now. And then we have Elder, very beautiful card. Move beyond ancestral patterns. So changing the way you do things. I feel like mainly this is to do with your sense of who you are. You know, what am I? Because Mars is very individual. It rules Aries and it rules Scorpio. So it's both who am I and then digging into my depths and finding my shadows and dancing with my shadows to try and like resolve all these old and, you know, dancing with the devil in a way, not really, but, you know, to find this calm space where I move beyond what's been placed upon me and find my own power, my true ambition, my true holy warrior within, and then move forward from there. There's a lot of wisdom in Mars, and it's not being, many times it's being overlooked as this, you know, very fiery and angry planet, but it has a lot of gifts and it has a lot of, you know, potency with it, because without it, we would be quite without energy. So I would say that Mars is a really good planet to have on your side and to understand, mainly because it has also a lot of keys to unlocking your force forward and to making things happen and to making things materialize and become true. So yes, that's what I want to leave you with, a quite positive spin on this, because I'm sure you're going to find a lot of messages where, oh, Mars retrograde, it's all this, be careful. Because, you know, of course, that is one part of it, but it's also, you know, understanding it, understanding what it has to say, meditating with it, connecting to the inspiration that is this volcanic eruption of inspiration, where you have fire, which could both destroy, but then also give life and give, you know, sustenance to you, warm you, energize you. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. Again, I hope the sound wasn't too bad in the beginning. I'm going to listen back and I might use it because I felt like what I managed to say was pretty good. So I don't want to do it again. But yes, my Mars impulsive side took over and I just went with it. But maybe that's how it was supposed to be. I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope you have a beautiful Mars retrograde, however it takes place for you. And if you like and understand this, and if it resonated, you're very welcome to share and comment and like the video. And if you want to see more, subscribe as well. So take care, and I'll see you soon again. Bye bye.